An incident which occurred in the previous game for the Boston Bruins between Brad Marchand and Jim Montgomery has sparked much conversation about what the future will hold between these two. We're going to be talking about everything that is coming out of this and all the theories that are going to be really reported from this incident. We're also going to be talking about a big matchup the Bruins are going to have next game against the Nashville Predators as they call up a goon from the AHL. We're going to be talking about all of this, the implications that this will have on next game and the rest of the season regarding Brad Marchand and Jim Montgomery here in this video. Before we get into it, however, we know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel as we cover everything Boston Bruins related. But without any further ado, let's get into our first topic here, which is, of course, Brad Marchand and Jim Montgomery. This is getting a bit of an insane situation right now. This beef has really started to kind of climb up in a lot of these reports recently, and most recently, what we're going to be talking about here is from Elliotte Friedman. We do have his quote here in a bit, but I'm going to pull up our first screenshot, kind of going over from the Hockey Writers website what happened here. It says, a possible issue between Bruins coach Jim Montgomery and captain Brad Marchand. Tensions may be brewing between the Bruins head coach Montgomery and captain Brad Marchand after a heated exchange on the bench the other night. During the incident, Montgomery publicly snapped at Marchand, raising questions about the relationship between the two. And on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, which is, of course, Elliotte Friedman's podcast, he said him and Kyle Bukauskas discussed the exchange, noting that such outbursts from coaches are rare in today's NHL. And, normally we don't see outbursts from a coach in this context. We normally see it usually at a referee for a missed call, a bad call, whatnot. But as Elliotte Friedman said, very rarely is it ever a player that a coach publicly lashes out at rather than kind of discusses in private and just says to the media what's going on. We've seen this live. We've seen this from in our first hand, and this is what the incident was happening. And as you can see here from this one, Jim Montgomery, not happy. This was after a goal that Utah had, which came back due to offsides, thankfully, but Marchand making a move on the blue line. Two guys on him, coming back, and the Utah Hockey Club ultimately scored, but this was a horrible play by Marchand, and obviously it's not a good look from Montgomery here either, but you do understand where he's coming from. Maybe a bit of an overreaction. I don't want to say overreaction in a negative way, because it was certainly justified that Marchand made a horrible play. Montgomery needed to let him know, but doing this such thing, making contact, which is another thing that we've seen here, discussed with this whole thing, that's not what we normally see in today's NHL. And exactly what Elliotte Friedman had to say here as well. What's more concerning is the physical contact between Montgomery and what he made between him and Marchand during the altercation. Although it appeared to be minor, it raised eyebrows. In this day and age, there isn't supposed to be any contact, what Friedman said, adding that even a small gesture can lead to a bigger problem if not handled appropriately. Now, we know these two are professionals. We know that Jim Montgomery, Brad Marchand are professionals. They've definitely figured this out, at least handled it or discussed it at some point behind closed doors, as you would. You're not going to bring this to light and ask about it, of course, but this could be a very interesting thing, knowing that Brad Marchand is currently in a contract year, looking to get an extension by the Boston Bruins. Now, a lot of people are wondering, is Marchand going to be coming back after this? Is Jim Montgomery really kind of forcing Brad Marchand out if he continues to play bad? Now, I don't think that is the case. I think Marchand will be here no matter what with an extension. Overall, I think that if one of them were to leave, it would be Jim Montgomery. In no specific reason other than Marchand has been here. He's the captain. An incident like this, one singular bad play, although there are a few that are a bit questionable throughout the season, this one event will not change Brad Marchand's future for this whole contract that he's going for. And he's a UFA, so he can sign elsewhere. There are many reports of him going to, many other teams. The Toronto Maple Leafs surprisingly included in that, which ultimately will not happen, but of course they need to get their hands on everybody. So, reports like this coming out, I really think there's no need to worry about that yet, but there are going to be some things that we're going to have to keep an eye on over the next few days, and especially the next few games going into tomorrow. What's going to happen with this? If we see anything else, if we notice any interactions between the two negatively or positively on either side, all of this really is coming from just the way the Bruins are playing, and nobody is happy about how the Bruins are playing. Even though there are a few wins in, there are still some horrible losses, some big mistakes that are made, and really all stemming from this, that the Bruins are 31st in shot attempts, 32nd in shots on goal, Scoring chances are 30th, and high danger chances are also 30th. And really all we're seeing is the fourth line being the only line that is actually producing anything. So tensions are high with the Bruins right now, and frustration is at an all-time high. But we still have a lot of the season yet. We're only a few games in. There's still a lot of stuff to work on, a lot of things the Bruins are going to do. And we're okay for now. And if this does continue, that's when it's time to hit the panic button. Right now, though, we should be all relaxed and, just sit back and watch what we have to see happen. And we're going to move on to our second topic here of the video, which is a big challenge that the Bruins are going to face next game against the Nashville Predators. They've called up one of their goons who, was not really known to be a goon, but after what we've seen of him in the AHL in his few last years in junior, making his NHL debut tomorrow, Zachary L'Heureux. And this is what we have here from Mark Divver. Zachary L'Heureux recalled from the Milwaukee with the winless Predators per AHL transaction, suspended 9 times in the various misdeeds during his QMJHL days, and a couple more times in the AHL, and his tomorrow night is going to be his debut. And I really think that the Nashville Predators are calling him up to get a spark. He's not going to play a puck. He's not going for his first career goal. He's going for his first career fight. And this is one thing the Bruins are not going to want to get sucked in, knowing how many penalties they have taken in the first few games of this season. He's going to be out there to try and draw a crowd in front of the net, off a hit, anything like this, any fights that he's going to create. They're going to try to suck the Bruins in to get a penalty, take a penalty, and put the Nashville Predators on the power play. This is one thing that the Bruins are going to need to fix before next game. It's going to be a challenge for them to not take a penalty, knowing how many they've taken over the games that they have played this season. In the 6 games going into their 7th, they have, I believe, at least 10 penalty minutes, or I could be wrong, about 8 penalty minutes a game in every game, which is one thing that you do not want to see to start off a season, especially with a team who are very disappointing right now and looking to up the offense, as you've seen from that last screenshot with the rankings. And this is going to be a big one because we know that the physicality for the Bruins is still very good, still very prominent with this team, and they're going to be, try and get in the mind of the Predators as well. But this could create a bit of a challenge, a bit of a distraction for many Bruins players who, are going to want to fight back regardless because that's just the nature of being a Boston Bruin. You're not going to want to lose the physicality battle. And Zachary L'Heureux, although being only 6 foot, he's still a big body on the ice and creating a very heavy presence. And as you can see here, I'll pull this up on the bigger one so you can see. The QMJHL, his penalty minutes weren't too crazy, but when you look at the first year with the Milwaukee Admirals, 66 games, he has 197 penalty minutes. 15 points in 15 games in the playoffs. He is still a very talented player. 62 penalty minutes as well in those playoffs, but he's also known for his dirty play, his physicality, which although is not really the cleanest, but he is a presence on the ice in a negative fashion and a positive fashion for the Nashville Predators. So this is one guy the Bruins are going to want to settle with early, whether it's Zadorov, whether it's Trent Frederic, who you seen in the intro, not too physical anymore, but still has that fire in him. I know he will sort out anything. They're going to have to watch this kid because he's not going to be playing a nice game of hockey tomorrow. So let me know what you think about this. What do you think about Jim Montgomery, Brad Marchand, that whole predicament that we're currently going through? And what do you think we're going to see coming in the next few games, especially tomorrow? And also, what do you think about the Bruins facing Zachary L'Heureux in his NHL debut? I can almost guarantee we are going to see a fight. Let me know what you think about that as well. But I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.